All right, so it is just after 4 o'clock in the morning. Wanted to get a jump start on the new stuff that was coming out, and I gotta say, before I even started um, recording this, I took a quick peek at a couple things, and wow, just wow. Constantine, so really, really strong right off the bat. Uh, a 40% attack reduction and 10% damage reduced. So we were looking for defensive commanders. I mean, this one skill really goes after it. And an infantry health bonus of 40%. That's pretty crazy. I liken the first skill um, almost kind of to what Charles Martel does. Um, I know it's not a full block of damage, but the reduction being for 5 full seconds, especially at the high level, you may actually be negating more damage than Charles's shield. And then again, the 10% damage reduction on top of it once maxed. And then having a 40%, I mean, 40% is huge on infantry health. That's 40% more beefiness. You've also got the garrison talent, which is a dual spec talent, meaning you get 2 perks for one skill. So garrison attack bonus and watchtower attack bonus. Really strong defensible user for garrison. And then here's the craziness. So when troops units are below 50%, you have a powerful treatment, healing factor 7,500. That's okay, which can only be triggered once per hour after the troop has left the city. Obviously, the way around that is to go out, and if it triggers, just come back to the city and restart. And again, I apologize for being really dark. It's 4 o'clock in the morning, and I cannot be popping all the lights on because I've got the kids and the wife in the house sleeping. So, but healing factor 15,000. So, to me, that's probably going to be, after all the buffs and research and everything like that, probably like 30,000, a 30,000 heal. I don't know how good this skill is going to be. I mean, at first glance, it's like, holy crap, that's a huge heal. But just situationally, I mean, you have to be below 50%. And once you've used it, you're pretty much done. I mean, an hour is a long time in rock time, you know? There's a lot to be done in an hour. Um, I don't know. This is something that maybe would be really good for when you're sieging a city or when you're rallying something, or if this was used in a rally. I don't know what kind of craziness this would look like, but um, that's remains to be seen. And then also, so another new passive skill increases troop attack and defense by another 25 and 5%. So I mean, this guy is going to be a really solid infantry commander. I think that you still need to use Richard for infantry, but Constantine's kind of a rival to Charles Martel. I mean, it's probably going to be 50-50 as far as what you use. I do like Charles's attack for infantry specifically. This isn't necessarily a infantry only commander, with the exception of the health bonus. But if you're, with this health bonus, it really should be an infantry commander. Overall, though, really good infantry, garrison, and support talent. So to me, this is kind of your new garrison commander if you're going to be using it. And then, because well, I take that back. Let me show you something. Well, I can't show you because I haven't summoned them yet. But on the support tree, so Lohar is support. If you go to the support tree, I'm not sure how many people know this. So you look at this and you think rejuvenate, with the little hand going. It's not rejuvenate in the sense of the skill path line. So rejuvenate on the skill path line only restores 60 rage whenever a skill is used. This rejuvenate on the support line restores 150. So it's almost 3 times as much rage restored. whenever you use a skill. So support tree for rage restoration is not bad. You've got the burning blood. You've got where's the other one? There's another one in here. I want to say. Oh, maybe not. Yeah. So those are the only two. I will say that there's more rage restoration in the skill tree, but if you had to pair it with, in Constantine's case, um, the infantry path line, for instance, that wouldn't be too bad as a primary commander. If you have a full group of infantry going full infantry path and then using support to go to rejuvenate, it's not as bad as it may seem for an infantry nuking um, setup. The more I'm talking about it, the more I'm thinking maybe Sun Tzu would be a good pairing for this guy because of the infantry bonuses that both of them have. Sun Tzu is a nuking infantry commander, and this would give him some beefiness that doesn't necessarily require Richard to heal. So attack reduction and damage taken reduced, health bonus, and then the healing factor situation, and then if you max them out, which is going to take forever, by the way, troop attack by 25% and defense by 5%. So this would be a good pairing, I think, for any of the normal infantry commanders. So Richard, Charles Martel, even Yulji Mundiak would be a good pairing with him. But I think ultimately, too, something to maybe have some fun with would be Sun Tzu. Really crank up the defense as well as the attack of Sun Tzu being an infantry only commander. That'd be pretty neat. So next is Saladin, and obviously when you hear the name Saladin, you immediately think of Richard saying his, we shall meet again, Saladin. So first skill directly nerfs Richard, directly nerfs. So direct damage factor of 1400. That's pretty standard for a legendary nuking commander, which he really isn't. He doesn't have the skill path, but this is his nuke. This is a direct damage first skill. March speed reduction of 30%, which is a big deal, especially if you're fighting cavalry. But then healing effect reduction by 40%. That basically just takes Richard and cuts his effectiveness by 40%. Huge deal. And it's for 5 seconds. Like, it's not just a 2-second thing or 3. It's for 5 seconds. That's the entirety of most gaps between skill uses. You might be able, if you've got a good rage regeneration build, you might be able to get one normal heal off before this triggers again. But if you pair Saladin with a rage generation build, they're never going to have a normal heal. It's going to be 40% all the time. So pretty neat stuff. This is going to change the meta when it comes to how to beat Richard. Because like y'all saw in Ronnie's video yesterday, that combination of Richard and Martel with good research and good alliance tech with a full group of infantry can take out T5. I mean, that's OP. I mean, there's no other way around it. That being said, it's really hard to get to what he had, and there's a little bit of skill involved. Like, you can't just roll into a big group of 4 archer groups and expect it to be fine. It's a situational tanky commander setup. So you're not going to go in there and blow the doors off the barn by, knocking out 4 groups at a time with this type of setup. It's, I'm going to go in there and you're not going to kill me because I'm so tanky and I've got so much heals. Saladin directly counters that. If you've got one group of Saladin plus anybody, and I haven't even gotten to the other ones because once I saw this, I was like, I gotta go record this. So, Saladin with anybody will basically directly counter Richard. So, huge deal. Big cavalry bonuses here. So 20% defense, 20% attack, and 5% march speed bonus. That's a big deal. cavalry are already fast, and then you're going to add other civilizations that have march speed, like Rome and like now the Ottoman Empire, which I'll get to in a little bit. And then you're going to add this skill on top of it. I mean, somebody with Saladin and maybe another commander that's got march speed um, is going to be the fastest on the field. And having this kind of damage output and uh, crowd control alongside of these bonuses. And then the third one being a skill damage taken reduction of 50% and counter damage taken reduction by 30%. I mean, not only is he a fantastic nuker, and is he also not countering Richard and Pelagius and Boudica, really the epic tier healing commanders. I mean, they just cannot touch Saladin. Like they just can't. Just can't do it. Richard can still do it because his heal is so big, but 40% of that heal is a huge deal too. But when you add this third skill in, and any nuker you're going up against, you're at an immediate 50% advantage. Dropping a 1400 nuke damage factor to 700, you're basically turning Minamoto into Pelagius. That is really all you're doing. That this one skill is turning a legendary commander into an epic one. That's crazy. That's crazy. Force skill, increased damage by two garrisons by 10%, but Saladin is unable to plunder resources by attacking other governor cities. Huge bonus up to 25%. This kind of turns him into a city sieger. Just because Saladin can't plunder doesn't mean the other four groups you could be attacking with aren't. So the plunder resources thing isn't a huge deal to me unless it makes a buff or something on your character to where you can't plunder at all, in which case that could be a game changer. But if you're just doing it to attack, if you're in a war and you're just doing it to attack and you're not doing it for the resources, then this could not really matter. But if you're doing it to farm somebody who's quit the game, or if you come across one of those Chinese farmers that you want to take advantage of, this could be a big deal if it does a buff on your character. If it doesn't do a buff and it's just his army who can't plunder, then that's not that big of a deal. Fifth skill. So looks like it increases the damage factor to 1700 once to the target, then reduces its march speed by 50% and decreases the healing effects received by 50%. So making that first skill even better. Wow. This is a strong legendary. This is what a legendary commander should look like. Not this. He's okay. This is a legendary commander. He's got so many tools at his disposal. He's a cavalry commander for sure. So you want to do full cavalry with Saladin. Pair him up with a Minamoto, or just looking at his skills, right? Any of the normal cavalry commanders would be fine. I'm just trying to see if there's anything that would work. Maybe even a Scipio with the counterattack damage reduction. Maybe even a Scipio to make him even more tanky. Because I know whenever you're in the open field, if you've got a Scipio, and you could even have him as a secondary, most people just avoid you, because the more people that are attacking a group of Scipio in it, the more just damage reduction in general and more counterattack damage. He's kind of like a porcupine when you got Scipio. So maybe a good epic would be Scipio pairing. I think honestly that he'd pair really well with Richard, which is sad because they should be at exact opposites of each other. But he'd pair. I think maybe another video with some new pairing setups with the new stuff is probably warranted, because I could probably sit here all day in Theorycraft on who he would pair up with well. Okay, so from here on out, it's all brand new to me. I haven't seen anything further on the commanders, so let's go through it. You got Mehmed II. So he, for those of you that are history buffs like I am, he conquered Constantinople from Constantine. So there's some history between all these new commanders. Um, so that adds a little backstory to everything. So 1400 direct damage factor, that seems to be standard par for the course for primary skill for um, legendary commanders. They do have the skill path, conquering path, and leadership path. That's interesting because there's no other leadership commander that has the skill path. So if you go to, let's go to Julius Caesar and Scipio. So Scipio, leadership, conquering, attack path. Leadership, conquering, attack path. I think even Hannibal Barca, leadership, conquering, attack path. So he's the only one that's got the skill path on a leadership and conquering tree, which is interesting because that means with the leadership path, you can bring more people to the fight. And that's probably what you're going to see in these skills. So let's go through the skills before I get sidetracked. Direct damage factor 1400, additional damage factor of 450. Wait a minute. Deals damage to enemies in a forward-facing fan-shaped area, max 5 targets. This is a new Sun Tzu and a new YSG. This skill deals additional damage to city garrisons and watchtowers. Damage factor 450. So it's just a nuke for open field, just like YSG. So 1400 direct damage factor, up to 5 targets. So fan-shaped area, max Sun Tzu and a normal to max YSG has this same setup. So another good AoE pairing, and you guys know I'm an AoE fan. So in addition, if you're attacking a city, you're doing additional damage factor up to 450. Huge deal. Huge deal. Okay? Let's go to the second one. Lord of Land and Sea. Increased troop attack by 20%. Skill damage bonus of 30%. So, again, mirroring the YSG and Sun Tzu model. Wow, this guy opens up so many new possibilities because traditionally, right, with like I've got Sun Tzu Max. Traditionally, you've got whatever troop that they support, either garrison or some other random thing, and then the skill path on these types of commanders. So same thing for YSG. Troop, garrison, skill path. With Mehmed, oh man, and it's on the second skill, so you don't have to wait until the fourth skill to max this. You could max the second. I mean, this guy could be a game changer on Alliance Battlegrounds. Game changer on Alliance Battlegrounds. 30% skill damage bonus and 20% attack bonus just from that one skill. In addition to 5 AoE, 1400 damage factor, up to 5 targets. Wow. Third skill, when attack the city, which is terrible grammar. When attack the city. Normal attack has a 10% chance to cause additional damage to the garrison. So again, another damage bonus to attacking cities. So there's a 450 nuke damage factor for garrisons and watchtowers. Here's an 10% additional chance to cause additional damage to garrisons up to 1,000. So this is likened to Frederick's primary skill, or not primary skill. I'm sorry. Which one was it? Hold on. I'm drawing a blank. Yeah, his heal. This is the same as like his heal. There's also, who was it? Is it El Cid? I think it's El Cid. Yeah. So El Cid has a 10% chance to deal additional damage to the target. Same damage factor. And I've seen El Cid with a max level 2 or number 2 skill. He does it does trigger pretty often. So Mehmed has that same skill set on his third skill, but it's for city attacking. So really this guy is leaning more towards the city attacking, but his first skill does kind of open him up to be open field too. you're just missing a couple of those support skills in the middle. Like you do get the attack bonus and the skill damage bonus, which is huge. Um, I would liken this one kind of like to the garrison talents, where increase attack or defense of the garrison or watchtower or whatever that some of the other garrison um, commanders get. So, I mean, you're not really losing too much for open field or barbarian killing or anything like that. Force skill increases troop capacity. So here's the leadership part of it. Increases troop capacity by 15%. When a rally is launched by this commander, the maximum rallied army capacity will increase by 10%. That's kind of a big deal too, especially in late game. So when you're talking about kingdom versus kingdom, um, I don't think Alliance Battlegrounds will really be affected by this too much. But KVK, this could be a huge deal because it's going to be a numbers game. Once you start involving dozens of governors in anything, numbers mean almost everything. Secondary to nothing. The thing that will be just behind numbers will be commander selection. So Mehmed, I mean, all three of these legendary commanders are absolutely gotta have. There's nobody on here that you don't want. And this is going to make it very difficult to level up any of the other ones that I wanted to level up, because I just got Richard to basically 50, and I could probably 6-star him, or come pretty close to it. I've got enough stars for it, I think. Maybe 50 to 100 short. I just 6-starred Sun Tzu. I was going to start working on getting Kusunoki, Pelagius, and YSG up. I do have YSG's first skill max, which is nice. I kind of wish I'd have waited on the YSG thing and went with Mehmed, because he's not troop specific. So that was the one thing I was going to pair. I was going to pair Sun Tzu, having his expertise unlocked, giving him access to the 5 targets, and then I was going to pair him up with YSG, having that same 5 target setup. He'd be a very good nuker. Problem is, YSG is a garrison commander, as is Sun Tzu, and that will take up one of their skills. And YSG is an archer commander, whereas Sun Tzu is a infantry commander. So a little bit of conflict there, but just the raw damage and the skill bonus damage and that kind of stuff was going to pair up really nicely. Now with Mehmed and this second skill of 30% skill damage bonus and attack bonus of 20%, that's a huge deal. It's not just one troop, it's all your troops. So this could be a mixed troop type commander, even though you do generally want to stick with one type of troop just for maximum damage and maximum effectiveness on the battlefield. But the fact that it's a all-encompassing bonus leads him to pair more with anybody versus just one or two types of people. So big deal. And again, the expertise on this guy, huge. Okay, so we didn't read it all. Hold on. This skill deals additional damage to city garrisons and watchtowers, and has a 50% chance to deal a second burst of additional damage to city garrisons and watchtowers by 500. I mean, the damage just keeps stacking up. And Ottomans were known for, once they turned into the Ottoman Empire, for conquering a large chunk of land. And a lot of that was done by Osman. So let's see if, let's just jump to Osman. I'm going to skip the first two. So Osman, speaking of Ottoman leadership. So leadership, conquering, and skill. Same mirror as Mehmed. So this could be interesting. Primary skill. Wield the Sword of Osman. Deals massive damage, 850 to the target. So it's just a simple 850 direct damage nuke. Fair enough. Radiance of Bursa increases troop attack by 15% for 120 seconds after attacking cities for more than 30 seconds. That's interesting. So basically attacking a city gives you a buff for 2 minutes, 2 full minutes of damage. I mean, so when you're dueling somebody, do you have to attack a city for 30 seconds first so you can get the maximum damage? I mean, That's interesting. I think that, again, these commanders are leaning really towards burning cities. And guys, Lilith isn't dumb. KBK is coming up. All kinds of stuff is coming up. All this stuff is gearing towards cities being destroyed. Um, and they're giving you the tools to do it. So it's no coincidence that all this stuff is coming with leadership, conquering, skill damage, effectiveness against garrison and watchtower. I mean, all these skills are completely geared to KVK. All right, third skill. So, Sword of Osman. Passive. Wasn't there already a Sword of Osman? You're wielding the Sword of Osman, and now there's actually a skill called Sword of Osman. Okay. After an active skill is used, deals additional damage factor of 400 to the target on the next turn. So kind of like Kusanoki's primary skill, where he gets an extra 2 ticks of, I think it's 450 at max. You're basically getting an extra damage factor added to your primary skill. In addition to your secondary commander too. So this is effectively an 800 damage factor skill, which is nice for an epic commander because that's usually your primary. Interesting. That stacks up. That stacks up a lot, especially with the Rage Regeneration build. That could be a huge deal. And again, the leadership capacity increase, so troop capacity bonus of 10%. And I don't think I can stress it enough. Troop capacity is going to be the differentiator on the battlefield. Once everybody has T4, T5, especially once everybody has T5, the more troops you can bring into battle per army, the more you're going to win. Unless you're bringing, epic commanders versus legendary commanders, you're going to win almost every time. Almost every time. Versus somebody with less troops than you. It's just the way it is. Troops make a huge difference. And again, leadership conquering skill. So, really good city nuking commander that can bring extra troops to the field. And the expertise is wield the Holy Sword of Osman with all the strength, deals massive damage. So it increases the primary skill to 1100 damage factor, which gets him really close to being a legendary commander. I mean, he's already 850, which is higher than most. 850 is, I think, what Herman does with his silence, but most of them are 750, 700, 450 with 200 additional damage factor ticks, which is a different type of skill damage, by the way. It's not the same thing. 850, which turns into 1100, not a bad deal. That's a pretty heavy nuking commander. And then being able to add additional damage factor of 400 per active skill used, which is active skill of Osman and active skill of whoever you pair him with. So theoretically, maxed out with your expertise, that's 1100 plus 800 because you've got 2 commanders for this. So, I mean, that's 1900 per rage build. That's a pretty big deal. That's a pretty heavy hitting nuker. And you're able to bring more troops to the battlefield, and you've got an attack bonus after you attack a city. This second one is, I mean, to me, it's kind of a throw-in. I think it's really good for when you're attacking people. It's just hard for me to relate in the kingdom that I'm in with the alliance that I'm in because they're at peace. And the only time you're attacking a city is if you're looting them for their stuff because they've stopped playing the game or they're a farmer, Chinese farmer. So when I say Chinese farmer, I mean somebody who's farming just to sell the resources in the game for real money. So we took very much to farming them and not having to pay for it, which was nice. But this is interesting. More will be said about Osman, I think. Very, very, he's one of the best, if not the best, epic nukers, non-AoE in the game. I mean, with all the direct damage factor that he does, that's a big deal. All right, let's go to Belisarius. So, cavalry, peacekeeping, and mobility. That directly mirrors double C. Ciao, ciao. Cavalry, peacekeeping, and mobility. So, same thing with Chow Chow. Cavalry, peacekeeping, and mobility. Alright, so let's go into the skills. First skill. Decreases damage of the target by 10%, up to 30%, which is a big deal. Attack reduction of 30%. Defense reduction of the enemy by 30% for the next 2 seconds, and deals massive damage of 450 to the target in the next turn. So it's not a nuke, it's an additional. It's interesting, it says in the next turn. The attack and defense reduction is similar to what Scipio and Yulji do with their nuke. But I'm wondering when the direct damage piece goes off. Does it go off whenever the skill is cast, or is it the following turn? That's interesting. I think the damage is low. I mean, I know you get a lot from the attack and defense reduction. At some point, you need to do some damage. So, I mean, you'll be increasing your damage for 2 seconds, and I'd imagine, we'll get to the expertise, but I'd imagine the expertise will extend that out to probably 3, 4, or 5 seconds, would be my guess. Irresistible. Increases damage dealt to barbarians. Another new. So this is the peacekeeping skill. So 35% damage bonus. Increases defense of cavalry units by 15% and march speed bonus by 25% after leaving battle. So the after leaving battle part is for the march speed. You get the defense for cavalry bonus all the time. So to me, this guy's already just leaning to be a farmer. Going, especially with the march speed, going barb to barb to barb to barb with an AoE nuker like Kusunoki or Sun Tzu, and just rolling through this stuff. Fourth skill, when target army, this is oblique tactics, when target army has been reduced to less than 50% strength, increases damage dealt to target by Belisarius' army by 25%. So kind of like Bloodthirsty on some other games, where it increases your damage the lower their health is. Interesting. I think, again, this guy is a tried and true built barbarian farmer so far, unless the last skill goes crazy. So increases cavalry units defense by 30% and march speed by 50%. So yeah, I mean, they didn't even buff the primary skill. They buffed the barbarian stuff, defense for cavalry and march speed. I really think that he's going to be best served as one of your primary guys that you're sending out to farm stuff. Yeah. Okay. Last new commander, Baibars. I was really upset when they decided to replace Khalid with Baibars. I was excited because, again, I'm a huge history guy, so I know what he did, especially with Saladin. I mean, Khalid with Saladin made perfect sense. They didn't even change the guy's look. They just called him Baibars. So I was upset. But let's go through it, and I'll try to remain unbiased. So first skill. Deals massive damage of 750, standard for an epic, to the enemy, and in a fan-shaped area. Max 3 targets. Reduces current target's march speed by 10% for the next 2 seconds, up to 30%. So, not bad. Sun Tzu has the same type of setup, but the secondary skill is an additional damage factor, not 30% march speed reduction. Again, really good in war. Doesn't really lend towards farming barbs at all, which is fine. I'm kind of tired of farming barbs, to be honest with you. And good damage factor. 750 is not bad. Okay, let's move on. Second skill, increases attack of cavalry units by 20%. So definitely another cavalry commander. And pairing, let's wait for pairing until I get to the expertise. So 20% cavalry attack bonus, just a good overall skill. That's Chinese. I can't read that. That skill is Chinese. I have no idea what that says. I don't know if that's a bug or what. um, I mean, it might be Korean or something else. I'm not sure. I don't want to, because I can't read it, so I don't know which language it is. But it looks Chinese or it looks Korean or something. Yeah, it might be Korean actually. Looking at the first symbol. Either way, normal attack has a 100% chance to decrease the attack of garrison by 7% and defense when attacking other governor's city by 7%. So sorry, there's a lot going on there. Normal attack has a 100% chance to decrease the attack of garrison by 1% and defense by 1% when attacking other governor's city. So this is the conquering talent path skill. Reduction of 7% of attack and defense of their troops. So not too bad. That's a pretty good skill. Guerrilla, whatever it's called anyway. That's a pretty good skill. Guerrilla, passive skill. I always love passive skills because you don't need to do anything for them. After exiting the battle, not routed, so you weren't smashed. A portion of slightly wounded units will be healed. So this is similar to Lohar's skill. Healing factor 200, and the march speed will increase by 50% for 10 seconds. That's a long time. Again, not really that big of a skill though. with Lohar's, you get 2,000 with the expertise and 1,000 without. You don't get the march speed bonus, but 2,000 health is a lot better than, what was it? 200 healing factor, and then you get a 50% march speed. I mean, yeah. I mean, my bias is coming in here, but meh. Commander's kind of meh right now. Let's see what the expertise. So, same thing. It's basically a Sun Tzu clone. So, goes from 3 to 5 targets. Damage factor of 1,000, which I think is more. Let me double check than Sun Tzu. Yeah. So Sun Tzu has a damage factor of 800, but he also has an additional damage factor of 200 on the next turn. So effectively 1,000. But having 1,000 at once versus 800 and 200 is a difference. Damage now is more effective than damage later. That being said, reduces target march speed by 50% for the next 2 seconds. Yeah, I mean, it's basically a cavalry version of Sun Tzu with some conquering stuff to it. This skill is completely worthless, the guerrilla skill. For what it seems like he should be built for, this does nothing. Like, after exiting battle, portion of slightly wounded units, this guy is supposed to be for conquering cities. Conquering cities. The third skill is attack reduction and defense reduction of a enemy governor's city garrison. And then you're going to give a fourth skill to give you a buff whenever you leave battle for march speed. Like, do you need to get away from the city super quick whenever you kill it? Like, maybe it's if you want to look at it just from a practical standpoint, it's a blitzkrieg. Like, you come in, you hit the city, you get out. Like, maybe. I just don't know if there's a skill needed for that. Like, as long as they're not right behind you and they're not all rocking mobility chow chows, or now, who was the new one? I can't even remember. We just went through 6 of these guys. One of the new ones is basically a new chow chow. So unless they're rocking all that, they're not going to catch you anyway. Just saying. Okay, cool. Let's go through the civilizations really quick, and then I'll make a new video later today on just what's popping up and what's happening with the new stuff. I couldn't wait to get to it, so I woke up a little early. I work in about 2 hours, but I work from home, so it's no big deal. Okay, let's go to it. So Arabia, really cool. cavalry attack bonus, damage dealt to barbs and other neutral units by 10%, increased damage, and damage dealt to by rallied armies by 5%. So if you're going to be launching a rally, a major rally especially, like a 2.5 million rally, it would make sense to launch it from Arabia, and pairing that up with one of the new commanders that has increased attack for rallies, and maybe another commander that does the same thing. I mean, you could really kind of start stacking the stuff together. Pretty neat. Ottoman, huge deal here. So skilled just already. I think this is the one that was leaked yesterday. I'm not sure how it was leaked or why, but increase archer health by 5%, which is meh. Troop march speed is a huge deal, 5%, and active skill damage by 5% increase. So I mean, everybody started losing their mind when they saw active skill damage increase by 5%. It's good. Don't get me wrong. It's nothing to sneeze at. I think the march speed is actually the better buff here. I would put march speed, skill damage, and archer health in that order for Ottoman. So think about it, right? Damage factor. I'm assuming is what's being buffed here. Not total damage, but damage factor. If that's the case, for a legendary commander, again, generally 1400 is the number. So 10% of 1400 is 140. Half of that being 5% is 70. So it's an increase from 1400 to 1470 damage factor. It's an increase, don't get me wrong, but it's not a game changer. I mean, you've got legendaries that are doing 1700, and again, you can apply this same to that, and now they're, what is that, 85? So 1785 skill damage factor, which is again really great, but to me it's not a game changer. It's not to the point where this is the only civilization that you should be using. Maybe for a YSG led army, this would make a lot of sense because you can use that third skill. YSG and Herman, or YSG and El Cid, YSG and Kusunoki would be really good pairing for the AoE damage for open field and for just raw damage to farming or whatever. So that would work. I think that the Ottoman Empire is strong, very strong, and having the active skill damage is a big deal, but it's not quite as big of a deal, I think, as somebody else would make it out to be. It's good, but I think there are other bonuses to other cities that make just as much sense. Let's go to Byzantium. I didn't like this. I mean, cavalry health, 5%. Stone gathering speed, 10%. Hospital capacity, 15%. I mean, the hospital capacity is nice, especially at the end game. That less dead troops is the best thing ever. I haven't gotten there yet, where I've needed more hospital capacity, and most of my stuff is, most of my hospitals are in the low 20s, high teens, and then I've got one that's really high because you needed it to level up the clan hall. I don't know. I mean, this seems like a elite. Like if you're ranking it by green, blue, purple, gold level, like the commanders are, this looks like an elite one. Arabia looks like an epic one, and Ottoman looks like a legendary one. I mean, that's just the way. I mean, if I was ranking these from top to bottom, I think Ottoman, Arabia, and Byzantium in that order. And it just depends on what you're trying to do, right? I think Ottoman does have the best overall of the three new civilizations. I think that Ottoman has the best overall top to bottom skill set. I think that there are other better civilizations for different things. So to me, again, this lends towards a warring nation that has nukers. that uses nukers, and you can lump Richard into that. From a nuking standpoint, you can lump Richard into that because he has a healing damage factor, which does get buffed by this skill, I would think. Active skill damage. Same thing with the Saladin skill. Buffing active skill damage. That would buff Richard. That's why I think Richard and Saladin would be a massively crazy combo. I know the troops conflict on the buffs, but one troop conflicting here and there, or one buff or skill conflicting here or there is not that big of a deal, especially for the versatility and utility that you would get from that pairing. So just to compare, right? You got the new stuff. There's no attack bonus, or I'm sorry, defense bonus for any of these new civilizations for a troop. So Ottomans, Janissary are going to be considered archers, obviously. It fits with the archer health mantra. Cataphract, cavalry health, fits with the same. And cavalry attack for the Mamluk fits with the same. So that's one good thing, is all these new civilizations match up with their special unit. I know that there's other civilizations that don't. There's a lot to take in here, right? I mean, there's just a lot to take in. There's a lot of stuff going on. And of course, I'll just completely let my... Well, let's go. So I've saved up some stuff. You can see the keys. Let me check the rewards list. So here we go. Mechmed is in the gold chest. I don't see any of the other legendary commanders, though. Saladin is not in the gold chest. Okay. So all the new epic ones are in the chest. So it looks like to get Constantine and Saladin, you got to go somewhere else. So let's hit the plus sign. There's nowhere to get them. There's nowhere to get them. Same thing. Here you can go to the tavern or the expedition. This sculpture will occasionally be available in the metal store. I've seen that a couple times, and I almost exclusively see it whenever I don't have enough coins. That's usually when I see legendary sculptures pop up, is when I don't have any coins on my farm account. So let me go ahead and just catch this stuff up here. All right. I think well, okay, so I'll go ahead and go through some of this stuff here. Oh, that looks exciting to me. I will always buy research potions. And I will always buy XP tomes and anything 90%. Thank you. Here's a huge thing. If you're going to spend gems, I don't want to do that. I want them to tell me, because I can't tell you how many gems I've wasted healing random number of troops or accidentally upgrading a research or training troop or whatever. I've accidentally hit the gem instant button and poof, 6,000 gems are just gone for no reason. Doesn't do me any good. This is awesome. I asked for this. This is the one thing I asked for alongside of expedition movement and normal gameplay for those little surveys that they send out. This was one of the main things I asked for. Give me a freaking gem. Do you want to really do this? Option. So I'm going to keep that going. That's a huge deal. Yeah, absolutely. That's a huge deal. Huge deal. All right. And I'll probably do those too. Okay. All right. Cool deal. That's going to be it for right now. I think that's enough. And this ended up being a 50-minute video, so probably a little long. But yeah, great legendary commanders. I'm really interested to see where you're going to be able to get Saladin and Constantine. Those are probably the two best legendary commanders. I think Mehmet is great, but I think Saladin's probably the is going to be the golden commander for quite a while, just because he completely nerfs Richard. Because Richard is powerful. I mean, he's not. I don't think he's overpowered. He definitely doesn't need a nerf, but I do think he needed a commander like this with more of a direct counter to him. Because the only real direct counter to Richard right now before Saladin was bring more troops. That's it. Like there's no other way to out damage his heal having equal number of troops. Ronnie fought Big Rick B, equal number of troops, tier 4 for Ronnie, tier 5 for Big Rick B, and he won. So that goes to show you how powerful Richard is. Whenever he brought 60% more troops, which is what his commanders allowed him to do, then he got smashed, finally. But that's kind of a big deal. Like, you have to bring 2 leadership commanders to the battlefield to fight a Richard and max troops. And I'm not so sure if it was T4 versus T4 if Ronnie would have lost with that many troops. I'd be interested to see. If it was Max, Julius, and Scipio, or Max Julius and Frederick, or Max Julius and Barca, with tier 4 troops, I'd be interested to see that fight, to see who wins. Martel and Richard versus any of those 2 commanders with that many troops, with T4 versus T4, because T4 versus T5 he lost. But anyway, yeah, I'm rambling on now. Looking to make some more videos for you guys. I just wanted to showcase some of the new stuff for those of you who can't play just yet, or are tied down, or just waking up in the morning and wanting to see all the latest and greatest. I know it's a long video, so feel free to have skipped through any of this stuff. I'm going to go ahead and post this. I've got a bunch of other videos that I've got in the hopper ready to post, because I wanted to kind of start this channel off with like 10 or 15 videos to get everything rolling, but this is kind of a big deal from a time perspective, so I'm going to go ahead and just post this by itself so y'all can see it. But look forward to some more videos coming soon for commander guides, troop guides, war guides, just fun stuff to do in Rock. I really enjoy the game and looking to get into the video producing portion of this, just so I can kind of share my thoughts with everybody and see if anybody is helped by any of my insights, or I'm helped by some of your insights. Maybe y'all can comment in the comment section on things that I didn't think of, because I'm sure there are some things. So with that being said, enjoy the game, enjoy the new update, and I'll see y'all next time. Cheers.